family and friends, we are living in absolutely insane times. I'm going to break down this entire legal document that Drake's company just drafted against his own record label, Universal Music Group. But if you don't want to sit through this entire explanation, then I'll summarize it like this. Take yourself back to the first days that you entered high school and imagine a bunch of kids who didn't like you all teamed up to bully you. They were bullying you in class, they were bullying you in the playground, and the teachers weren't doing anything about it. In fact, they were even favoring the cool kids in class, maybe because of their good grades, or maybe because they didn't like you too. And you're a really privileged kid, you came from a rich upbringing, you're not like them, and so you went to your rich parents and said, hey, all the teachers, all the students, they're all conspiring against me to bully me, to tear me down. And, you know, I used to be a bully in the past, but I'm not anymore. Now I'm on the receiving end of it, and I don't like it. There's a conspiracy going on. So let's write a big letter to the school, scaring them, threatening to get lawyers involved, and let's investigate and see who was really in on all this bullying. So yeah, in that case, you are Drake. All of the bullies are Kendrick Lamar, DJ Mustard, the entire West Coast, Metro Boomin, Future, The Weeknd to a certain extent, and the teachers are Spotify and Universal Music Group. And I'm not exaggerating in the slightest bit. This is really what's going on right now between Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Spotify, and his own record label, Universal Music Group. So let's jump into it. Basically, on November 25th, 2024, Frozen Moments LLC, which is a company that's owned by Drake, filed a petition in New York City court. It's a pre-action petition. It's not a lawsuit. So the key difference is a pre-action petition is a legal request made before filing a lawsuit. Drake's company is basically asking the court to order someone to share information or evidence that may help decide if there's a valid case for them to sue. It's like gathering proof before going to court. So in this case, this pre-action petition is asking for permission to gather evidence from Universal Music Group and Spotify USA Incorporated before they officially file a lawsuit. The petition is accusing Universal Music Group, aka UMG, and Spotify of unfair practices that allegedly harmed Drake's music career and his company's profits. These allegations focus on how UMG promoted Kendrick Lamar's song Not Like Us in ways that Frozen Moments, Drake's company, claims were dishonest and manipulative. So let's break down everything that Drake's company Frozen Moments is claiming happened. Number one is they were claiming UMG allegedly took actions to boost Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us song. Frozen Moments says UMG, through its Interscope Records division, aka Kendrick Lamar's label, used various underhanded methods to make Kendrick Lamar's song Not Like Us appear more popular than it really was. UMG allegedly paid influencers, radio stations, and digital platforms to promote the song without letting the public know that these promotions were paid for. UMG reportedly hired companies that use automated tools like bots to inflate the song's streaming numbers on Spotify and its video views on YouTube. Bots are fake accounts that stream music repeatedly to increase the play counts. The petition also claims that UMG gave Spotify financial incentives, such as discounts on licensing fees, in exchange for giving Kendrick Lamar's song more visibility. For example, the song was supposedly featured in playlists and ads more than other artists' music, including Drake's. Now, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on here because many of the things that Drake's company is accusing UMG of doing to boost the popularity of Kendrick's song Not Like Us, he had done the same thing way back when he first released his album Scorpion, and he even engaged in similar practices throughout this beef. So let me explain. They're allegedly claiming that the song Not Like Us was supposedly featured in playlists and ads more than other artists' music, including Drake's. However, if you go back to when Drake released his album Scorpion in 2018, you would notice that they put Drake's music at the top of basically every single playlist, allegedly. We're going to say allegedly a lot in this video because if Drake is suing Kendrick and UMG and whatever, allegedly, I don't want him coming after me. So everything is alleged here, all right? But when Drake released Scorpion, he was at the top of not only just the rap playlist, but other very random playlists, stuff like playlists called Fresh Gospel, Teardrop, or Soul Coffee. A lot of casual listeners will get most of their music from playlists. They don't go out and hunt for music on their own. So when an artist's song is at the top of every single playlist, it's much easier for random music consumers to just find your music conveniently, and as a result, they might start playing your music without even having the intention of doing so. Spotify's push of Drake's Scorpion album on their playlists led Drake's Scorpion album to become the most streamed album on Spotify in a single week. His song God's Plan off that album broke many Spotify records for being the fastest song to reach 1 billion streams, the fastest song to reach 100 million streams, the song to have the most amount of streams in a single day. Ironically, Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us record broke a lot of these records that Drake initially held. But even Nicki Minaj, Drake's former Young Money label mate, had accused Spotify of using this tactic with Drake because back then in 2018, she released an album called Queen, and she had said that Spotify was not putting her on many playlists, and she used Drake as an example of someone who was being pushed on every single playlist aggressively, even ones that didn't necessarily suit his genre of music. If Drake's own former label mate was accusing him of allegedly using these tactics, I don't see what reason she would have to lie and try to expose Drake of this malpractice. But again, everything is alleged. Don't come after me, Drake. So even if UMG did this to boost Kendrick Lamar's numbers, Drake had done it in the past. So if there was precedent to say that Drake has already used this practice, then what makes it illegal if Kendrick Lamar did the same? It seems like at this point, just a standard industry marketing tactic. Whether it's ethical or not, well, that's up for you guys to decide. But Drake's company is also accusing UMG, like we said before, of paying influencers and digital platforms to promote the song without letting the public know that these promotions were paid for, likely to make it seem like Kendrick's diss songs were getting streamed a lot more than Drake's. But allegedly, again, very big on the allegedly Drake's label was paying Twitter platforms to share stories of Kendrick Lamar petitioning against Spotify to not take down R. Kelly's music from their platform. This is obviously a negative look for Kendrick because if he's accusing Drake of being a PDF file, but there was a story of him threatening to pull his own music from Spotify if they pulled R. Kelly's music down from their platform, then it's hypocritical for him to support one PDF like R. Kelly, but then go on and call Drake a PDF. Allegedly. But again, if this is not alleged, then Drake's team was paying platforms on Twitter to sway public opinion just as much as Kendrick was. Now, in terms of Not Like Us being boosted on playlists and bots being used to stream the song a bunch so that it seemed like it had more streams than it authentically did, that's up for debate. There were many videos at the height of the beef showing that people would request Siri to play a song and they would randomly start playing Not Like Us, or that it was featured on different playlists like gospel playlists or country playlists. And again, up to you guys to decide the morality behind that and determine whether or not it was even true. But there is no denying that regardless of any fake streams, Not Like Us was a genuine hit. However, a couple months ago, DJ Academics did bring someone onto his platform who claims he was paid by a man named Anthony from Kendrick Lamar's camp to inflate the numbers of Not Like Us on Spotify. Joe Budden also came out and said this didn't surprise him because it's a very common practice within the industry. And we have seen many cases like this before where artists fake their streams using bots to make it seem like the song is more popular than it is.
Not only do I not care that he used bots, but I knew he did. Y'all didn't know that Kendrick used bots?
No, and I didn't care.
You thought that this was just the first time miraculously that a Drake record ever had more dislikes than likes, or you didn't know that that was bots? Bots, to me, was a part of how you win the war versus Drake. If you didn't do it, Drake was going to do it. He did.
Yeah.
But because he lost in the fashion that he lost in, there seems to be a select crowd out there that continues to not lose gracefully.
But again, this doesn't take away from the actual impact or magnitude of the success of that Not Like Us record. It was a genuine hit, even if they did initially pay for bots to stream it to inflate the numbers initially. Drake is only accusing UMG of doing so for about 30 million streams, and the song is well on its way to have over 1 billion streams in the next coming months. So you tell me, if they faked 30 million streams, but the song almost has 1 billion streams, is the success of it thanks to these fake 30 million streams, or is it thanks to the actual quality of the song and the fact that people are genuinely playing it everywhere, not just robots and streaming farms faking its numbers? And regardless of whether or not UMG was paying Spotify to put Not Like Us at the top of their playlist or other platforms to promote the record, again, it's common industry practice. So Drake has to have a case for how all of those promotional tactics were allegedly used to harm him. And he makes that case in this petition. Drake's company is claiming that UMG's actions made it harder for Drake's music to reach audiences because platforms like Spotify were pushing Kendrick Lamar's song instead. This reduced the streams and revenue for Drake's catalog. Frozen Moments, Drake's company, believes this favoritism towards Kendrick Lamar was part of UMG's broader strategy to boost Interscope Records profits, since Kendrick Lamar is one of their biggest artists. Now, the funniest part of this entire thing is NFR Podcast's alleged involvement. If you guys don't know who NFR is, they're a music podcast. They do music reviews, but aside from YouTube, they also have a Twitter account with about 300,000 followers, and they post a bunch of music news, new music, they promote different artists, etc. Now, we're gonna jump into what Drake is accusing them of, but why it's funny is because the hosts of the NFR podcast are actually from Canada, Drake's hometown. Drake actually follows them on Instagram, and I actually live quite close to them. I met them at a festival a couple years back, and they're very good dudes. I hope to collaborate with them one day, but it's funny because they're just so unproblematic. They're just innocent guys reviewing music. If you don't know much about them, you probably recognize this video.
Embarrassing. I'm angry. It's time to activate rap mode.
And it's hilarious because Drake is not going after any West Coast publications. He's going after the two guys from Canada, just trying to make a living talking about music and having a good time. So yeah, Drake's company Frozen Moments is accusing NFR, an external marketing firm hired by UMG, of playing a big role in this scheme. They're accusing UMG of allegedly engaging in a form of payola with NFR podcasts. If you guys don't know what payola is, back in the day when radio plays used to play a big role in the success of a song, payola used to be thought of in terms of paying radio stations to play songs. But in February of 2020, the Federal Trade Commission added new terms for what could be considered payola, which would be paying an influencer to pretend that their endorsement or review is untainted by a financial relationship, and this would be illegal payola. Drake's company is accusing UMG of employing a similar scheme by paying social media influencers to promote and endorse the Not Like Us song and video. And they used NFR for example. They said that UMG paid NFR podcasts to promote the Not Like Us video and song without disclosing the payment. As part of its deal with UMG, NFR Podcast published podcast episodes, tweets, and other content publicly about the song. And in a sea change for UMG's internal policy, UMG removed the song's copyright restrictions on YouTube and Twitch, thereby whitelisting the song, which further incentivized influencers to spread the song. And in my opinion, this was the biggest W for content creators throughout the entire beef. Basically, all copyright restrictions were removed from Not Like Us, which allowed reactors on YouTube, Twitter, etc. to react to the song, to the music video, without having to pay any of the profits that they received from their reaction videos back to the label and the owners of the Not Like Us rights. But allegedly, according to this petition that Drake's company filed, removing Not Like Us's copyright restrictions off these reaction videos was not a common practice within the company, and they're listing it in their allegations against UMG for using paid schemes to inauthentically boost the song's popularity on social media. The petition claims that NFR worked closely with UMG to execute these strategies, directly impacting the success of Kendrick Lamar's song. And to me, man, that's just inspiration. Like, if two guys from Canada just messing around on YouTube can have direct impact in one of the biggest hip-hop beefs of this generation, then the ceiling is high for what I could do in the future. So drop a like on this video so we can grow the movement and have direct impact on Kendrick Lamar's success as well. And shout out to the NFR guys, man. It's sad to see that Drake can only show love to Canadian publications through the form of lawsuits, but hey, all publicity is good publicity, so I'll chalk it up as a W to the Canadian podcasters. Now, Drake's company is also alleging that there were attempts to cover up these actions. According to the petition, UMG tried to allegedly hide these activities by firing employees who supported Drake or opposed these promotional tactics. When Drake raised concerns, UMG allegedly refused to address them and instead hinted at legal action against Kendrick Lamar if Drake's company moved forward with a lawsuit. So with this petition, with it not officially being a lawsuit just yet, you might be asking, what does Drake's company Frozen Moments actually want from the court, or what do they want out of this petition? See, again, it's not a lawsuit yet. It's a request to gather evidence that would help Frozen Moments decide whether to sue UMG and Spotify. Specifically, Drake's company Frozen Moments is asking for, number one, permission to get documents from UMG, which would include a list of all influencers, radio stations, and other third parties that UMG paid to promote the song Not Like Us, proof of payments made to companies or individuals who used bots to artificially inflate streams or views for the record, internal UMG communications like email and text about the promotional strategies, for Kendrick Lamar's song. Number 2, they're asking for permission to get documents from Spotify, which would include details of any agreements between Spotify and Universal Music Group that gave Not Like Us extra promotion, like featuring it on popular playlists or advertisements, and records showing whether Spotify received any financial benefits, like discounts on licensing fees, in exchange for pushing Not Like Us. Finally, they're also asking for a court order to preserve evidence. Frozen Moments wants the court to make UMG and Spotify keep all relevant documents, emails, texts, and other evidence safe so they can't delete or destroy it during the process. And while Drake's company Frozen Moments hasn't filed a lawsuit just yet, the petition outlines the types of claims it might pursue based on the evidence it expects to uncover. Number 1 would be fraud and deceptive practices, where number 1, UMG is accused of misleading consumers by promoting Not Like Us as a major hit, while hiding the fact that its success was artificially created through bots and paid platforms. These actions could violate laws against false advertising and deceptive business practices. Again, I mean, you heard this song in people's cars, you heard it at clubs, you heard it at basketball games, you heard it at different events. Like, the song was everywhere. This wasn't a hit because it got 30 million quote-unquote fake streams allegedly on Spotify, or because NFR Podcast was sharing it on Twitter. It was a success because it was genuinely a great song, and Drake coming after the record labels for trying to boost its popularity or numbers doesn't make him look like he's fighting the good fight. Instead, it makes him look like an even bigger sore loser than he already did. He went on stream last night and threw a bunch of sneak disses as well, making him look like an even bigger sore loser, so we'll cover that in a separate video. Stay tuned for that. But aside from that, the craziest part is that Drake's company Frozen Moments says that UMG's actions may qualify as a violation of RICO laws, which are designed to combat organized schemes involving fraud or other illegal activities. The petition mentions wire fraud, using electronic communication to commit fraud, and bribery as potential crimes in this case. Now, what's insane to me is that way back in 2015, Meek Mill had a song with Drake called RICO, where Drake rapped on the chorus that he might just get hit with the RICO due to his crew allegedly being involved in criminal activity. Ironically, this was the song that led to Drake's first real big rap beef with Meek Mill, as Meek Mill uncovered that the song wasn't actually written by Drake, but instead it was ghost-written by an artist by the name of Quentin Miller. You guys probably know that name. Meek Mill exposed Drake for having ghostwriters on multiple different records, including his collaboration with Drake called RICO. And 10 years after getting a ghostwriter to write him a song called RICO, Drake is now filing a petition against his record label to gather enough evidence to potentially make a case against them violating the RICO laws themselves. He really went from having a rap beef over a ghostwriter writing him a song where he's saying he might get hit with the RICO, to losing a second rap beef 10 years later and potentially trying to file a RICO case against his own label. Just insane irony there, but why this matters is because Drake's company Frozen Moments is claiming that UMG's alleged behavior isn't just bad for Drake, but it's also bad for the music industry and consumers. If these practices are happening, they could mislead fans into thinking a song is popular based on merit when it's not, unfairly disadvantage other artists whose music doesn't get the same artificial boost, and create an uneven playing field where only artists backed by massive budgets can succeed. The petition that Drake's company filed includes several documents to back up its requests, such as proposed subpoenas, which are official legal requests, for UMG and Spotify to provide the information that Frozen Moments, Drake's company, is seeking, and a proposed court order requiring both companies, Spotify and UMG, to keep all evidence safe during the investigation. Now, why this case is in New York is because UMG and Spotify have offices there, and many of the alleged actions took place in New York. Now, UMG quickly clapped back with their own statement. Firstly, they pointed the finger at Kendrick Lamar himself, insisting that Drake should initiate legal action against Kendrick Lamar rather than themselves, UMG, and UMG even threatened to bring its own legal claims against Kendrick if Drake were to pursue claims against UMG. Basically, allegedly, UMG is saying, like, Drake, if you're going to come and try to sue us and, fiddle around our documents and our financial statements, then we're going to file our own legal action against Kendrick Lamar, since this is his song and his team's activities. So after begging Kendrick to drop, and saying, not this time, you're following through with your diss tracks, now Drake is basically suing UMG, and UMG is saying, nah, if you sue us, we're going to sue Kendrick Lamar. So you're indirectly implicating Kendrick into this legal kerfuffle. That's why I was saying Drake is not really fighting the good fight against the music industry and the unethical tactics they use, because they're just going to implicate Kendrick Lamar and he's going to have to face legal troubles himself for tactics that Drake has allegedly already used in the past. A UMG rep also told Variety magazine, "The suggestion that UMG would do anything to undermine any of its artists is offensive and untrue. We employ the highest ethical practices in our marketing and promotional campaigns. No amount of contrived and absurd legal arguments in this pre-action submission can mask the fact that fans choose the music they want to hear." Now, if that's not the funniest sneak diss at Drake you've ever heard, then drop the funniest sneak diss you've ever heard at Drake in the comments. But he's literally getting sneak dissed in promotional statements from his own record label now. Like, UMG is saying, we can't help it if Kendrick Lamar's song is so popular and Drake is upset about it. But don't sue us just because fans choose to listen to Not Like Us over your diss tracks. Now, this isn't the first time that Drake and his record label or his team have been accused of interfering with the success of different diss tracks against him. In 2018, Pusha T released the diss song The Story of Adidon, where he exposed Drake for having a kid, and UMG blocked the video on copyright grounds, saying that the song contained content from their label, probably because Pusha T used the beat from Jay-Z's song The Story of OJ. And just a quick correction, UMG didn't publicly say that they would sue Kendrick Lamar. It was actually Drake claiming that UMG told him in the petition that the label would sue Kendrick Lamar if Drake filed his own lawsuit against UMG. Now, of course, the King OVHOs had to come to Drake's defense, most notably the #1 OVHO totem pole Glazer Mal from the Rory and Mal podcast tweeted out after the public heard about this petition and said, "That petition has nothing to do with the battle. It has everything to do with the business. But it's cool to hate Drake these days, I guess." Metro Boomin had also accused Drake of having his label send a cease and desist over Metro Boomin's song Like That, which featured the first verse from Kendrick that said, "F the big three is just big me," that kicked off this whole battle. He shared a screenshot of an email he got stating that the record Like That can't be played on radio. Kendrick rapped about this on his diss track Euphoria, saying, "You're trying to cease and desist on the Like That record? Oh, what, you didn't like that record?" Drake clapped back on Family Matters, saying that a cease and desist is for HOES. But what is a pre-action petition then? Is that not for HOES? Is it cool to accuse your record label of payola because a diss track against you became so successful? I mean, I'll try to keep it as unbiased as possible. I did sense a big push online and through Spotify of that Not Like Us record, but I think that the song would have had very close to the same success that it did regardless of that push. I think it was the hype from the battle and the quality of that record alone that helped to get to where it got to. I mean, look at Kendrick's new album right now. It's doing great on the charts, and there's not one direct diss at Drake on any of those records. In general, is it ethical for labels to pay for bots to boost streams or pay to have your song at the top of playlists, even if the genre of that song doesn't fit the genre of the playlist? I don't think that's necessarily ethical, but you have to remember that this is in the context of a rap battle in 2024, right? Joe Budden made a great point. You can't just win against Drake on the quality of your record. Everyone on his side leans into the numbers. They're obsessed with the numbers. So in order to gain a unanimous victory from the total general public, not just rap fans, but people outside of that sphere, then you got to play the internet games, you got to play the numbers games. You're going against the king of the streaming numbers. Drake is the king of streams. I mean, even to this day, he's the most streamed artist on Spotify, regardless of this beef. And I think that alone will make it very hard for Drake to form a case, especially against Spotify, claiming that they were boosting up Kendrick's numbers to make him seem like the more popular artist, when Drake is still getting more streams than Kendrick on Spotify alone. Now, back to Kendrick using these tactics, I just think it was a calculated attempt at making sure he was winning public perception on all grounds. He was obviously just letting the music talk. We didn't see him on social media trolling like Drake was. Drake at the time, before Kendrick dropped any diss track, was trolling Kendrick's manager, was writing these sneak disses in Instagram comments. Like, he was talking about Meek Mill having Twitter fingers, but he most definitely had Instagram fingers throughout this entire beef. Then he was trolling Kendrick on record, saying that he was too scared to drop a diss track and engage in this beef. So it's only right that Kendrick comes back on the trolling front, but doing it in a more calculated way, lifting restrictions of copyright claims on his music so that reactors can actually react to music that they like. I mean, if the diss track sucked and all those reaction videos were terrible, even if Kendrick let reactors monetize to them, it wouldn't have been a good look for him. It was only a smart play to remove the copyright restrictions because all those reaction channels had positive reactions to the song. It was only smart to put it at the top of every playlist because people kept repeatedly going back and playing the song. You saw that by the numbers. Not every single stream was botted. Even if they faked the first 30 million streams, you saw that people then went and streamed the song over 100 million times, breaking the record for the fastest song to reach 100 million streams in Spotify history. Then the same thing happened at the 200 million mark, then 300 million. Now it's on its way to almost 1 billion streams. You cannot attribute that to mainly being because they paid for 30 million streams or they put that song on the top of every playlist for a week. Now, if they did that, I don't personally think it's the most ethical move, but hey, again, all is fair in love and war, and in the end, the music talks. Kendrick himself was not on social media trolling. If he did this stuff behind the scenes, again, maybe not the most ethical move, but it doesn't matter. The music is going to talk, and only real music is going to last. All that other BS is here today and gone tomorrow. I'm quoting that directly from a Drake song, and it stands true today. Because no matter what internet games Kendrick, his team, Spotify, or UMG played to boost the song's popularity initially, it was a great record and unanimously won him the battle, not because of those fake streams, but because people continuously played it all throughout the summer. The song is still getting streamed today. I have no doubt that they are not buying streams on that record today. If anything, they'd be buying streams on his new album. And if Drake was really made to look bad by any of these quote-unquote payola moves that he's alleging UMG had participated in, he only looks worse trying to take them to court about it after he lost a battle in the eyes of the public. But anyways, that's just my thoughts. Not Like Us would be a hit regardless of if they paid for a couple million streams or if they paid NFR guys to dance to the record when it came out, or if they lifted copyright restrictions on it or paid for a couple views, whatever the case may be. All is fair in love and war. Drake engaged in similar trolls online throughout the beef to try to make Kendrick look bad. And Kendrick won strictly because of the music. But let me know what you guys think. Is it ethical or unethical to engage in the practices that Drake is accusing allegedly UMG of participating in? Does it make Kendrick Lamar look bad? If he really did pay for streams, do you think Not Like Us would have been a genuine hit without any botted streams? Are you still listening to it today? Let me know in the comments, and I will catch you guys in the next one.
There's a lot of little nuggets in both of their disses that if it wasn't for these breakdowns, and salute to, guys like this, Rapaholics, because I think they directly get it.